Hello, in today's session, I'm going to be going over your basic CATIA V6 or 3D experience setup and navigation. Just for this, let me open up a new tab. If you want to just open up a new part, you would go here and go into 3D part. That would open your part design workbench or app. You can see that once I open up a new tab, it defaults to basically nothing. If you opened up a physical product, you'd be in your product structure design. That would be something else I'll cover later. No, I don't want to save that. But anyways, once you open up a 3D part, then you get your part design workbench, and you have some things you could do here. Let me start off with, you can come here and go to your preferences, and there are a lot of things that you could change here. Most notably, if you regularly don't use, let's say, millimeters for your length, you could change that here. You could change a lot of things with your user interface, but it will probably just depend on your own preferences or your company preferences. Another thing that you could do is change the styles of the 3D models that you are being displayed in front here. Let me go here, for example. You could change the ambiance, the style. You could toggle some menu options. So for example, we have the app options and the action pad. The action pad is basically just like a pull-up menu where you could put your commonly used features. You can see a lot of these things here are just duplicates of what's in your menu bars down here. Same thing with your app options. It gives you different options to change things that is specific to your workbench. So this would change from your, and I'm using the terms application and workbench interchangeably. This would change between your different applications. I'm going to close that for now. By default, your status bar, I believe, is off. I just keep it on, and it gives you basically your current options for what you can do. For example, it says define the shaft once I click the shaft feature, so it gets rid of some ambiguity of what you're supposed to do. We have, so this view modes that I just closed, you typically wouldn't have it on startup, but you could get it from here, view modes. If your parts become too complicated, you could toggle a lot of your sketches and wireframes. I'll turn that off for now. You could change your shading modes. I typically just keep it on this. Close that out for now. Some other things that you should know about is, let's say I have this right in here. Your part body that you have in front of you is, you can't delete it. So for example, I'll go into this more specifically later, but you have your body, right? I just created a body, which is, you could think of as a folder where you could insert wireframes, your sketches, your 3D parts. For example, if I just make a really quick sketch here, I won't really define anything. And then I'll exit and I'll extrude this out to a 3D body. Right, you can see that there's a pattern here, there's a sketch in here. If I wanted, I could put a point somewhere here. I'll put it at like 10, 10, 0. That point is also in there. I could add a separate sketch. Right, sketch goes in there. Exit. So this is really just a folder for a lot of things, up to you. But there's also something called a geometric set, where if you hover over this and click it, you could add a geometric set, or geometrical they call it. This only contains non-3D elements. As far as this goes in this part design, what you would be putting in here is reference elements, your planes, coordinate frames, lines, points, and sketches. It just is a different type of folder that is accessible to you for more organizational purposes, and also things that are in your body follow a certain time frame, right? So if you created the pad first, let's say this extrusion first, and then you create a sketch, and then you try to edit this pad based on some sketch features that are after it, you can't do that, because once I put this in to be my in-work object, right? It's saying define in-work object. It just means that that's the folder that I want to open, basically. That's the item that I want to be working on currently, right? And it's underlined. That's how you know it's your in-work object. Once I do that and I try to base and edit something here based off something that comes after it, it won't let me. For example, if I try to double click this, and let's say I wanted to change my sketch profile to sketch 2, it's not going to let me because technically it's at a future point, so it doesn't even know about it yet. But something I could do here is put it into a geometrical set, and this has no, I guess, no timeline. It has no chronological order. There is one that does, but uh, this one doesn't. So if I were to try to do the same thing and I try to switch out the profile and I click Sketch 2, I could do that. That's one thing to consider. Like I was saying, you have a default part body that you cannot delete. There's no option for me to delete. You can't cut it. You can't do anything. And down the line, you sort of want to structure your project so that you're more flexible with the bodies that you can edit. But if you find yourself needing to switch your main body, you can come here and change to part body, right? So now that moves up and that becomes your main part body that you cannot delete. Other things that you should know about that I totally forgot about is your navigation. So I'm center clicking my scroll wheel to pan. To rotate, I'm center clicking it again. And then once I hold my center click, I am using either my left click or right click at the same time. So I'm pressing both my scroll wheel and my right or left click to rotate. If I press my scroll wheel and hold it, and I only click my left or right key once and I let go, then I am zooming in and out. Right, so scroll wheel, hold it, and while you're holding it, just click once on either side, keep holding the scroll wheel, then it'll zoom in and out. As far as I know, there's no way to customize it, and your alternative would be to use some kind of 3D mouse. In place of your clicks, you could also use the control button. So I'm pressing on the scroll wheel, and in place of my clicks, I press the control button real quick. There you go, changes into zoom mode. And if I press the scroll wheel and I just hold down control, then it will rotate. I could also click with my scroll wheel to, I'll call it instant pan. So I could, if I'm over here and I instant pan to the center, and then I hold that down and rotate, then for the most part, it'll behave as you expect it to. There's a lot of toolbars down at the bottom here that are, again, specific to your workbench. A lot of things that you could just play around with if you want your standard views over here. If you want to change it from parallel to perspective mode, over here, the difference is probably better shown here. If I change to perspective, you can see that difference. Perspective is just as if you had an actual realistic camera lens viewing your part, but for the most part, I keep it parallel. Perspective is probably only if you want like a more realistic view of your part. But for parametric design, I think it makes more sense to be parallel. Yeah, I went over the view modes. And I'm not going to go over every single little command here. This will be spread out through the different tutorials. But there is a search bar where you could look for different things. Let's say I want to fillet something and I can't find it. I could get it from here. Also, I should note that literally everything that is in your model, basically almost everything, is in your time tree. So I've personally I've originally used SolidWorks. They wouldn't really in your I guess your work tree, they wouldn't have your individual circles and points that are in your sketch. They wouldn't lay that out in your tree. But in CATIA they do. So if there's something that you're looking for, you most likely can find it here. And for finding parts, you can either go up here and look for something. I don't know if I'm allowed to show this. I'll blur it if I am not allowed to. Right. Or you can go here. I'm just in my common space right now. And if I click manage, let it load up. I go to my common space. It might differ for you if you're working within a company. But if I search, I'm naming all of these training parts as OcMee something. So let's say I want to open up OcMee and our O3. Then I would click that. Then I would go to open with. I don't see part design here, so I go to more apps. I make sure that this is checked, what I want to open is checked, then I click part design. And I don't know if it opened. Sometimes I need to click it multiple times for it to work. Or maybe it doesn't like the fact that I already have different parts opened. Yeah, I don't think it likes the fact that I have different parts opened. But anyways, that is one way to open your parts. And that's about it. There's definitely a lot more things that I'm sort of intentionally missing here because I feel like it's better to learn by doing it and using it when you need it and just keep on practicing. But what I showed you right now should get you through how to navigate throughout CATIA V6. Thank you.